Okay, so welcome back. We've just we've downloaded our APoLUS model from the Simlander APoLUS website. We've unzipped it. We've opened our studio and we've brought in the switchboard. We've imported our region maps, global level map, our intermediate level map, and our local level map. And we've also imported our two land use maps that we've got there on the right, so for 2000, 2007. We've set up the categories, we've assigned them names, and we've assigned them a behaviour. Passive for those land uses which tend just to sit there and get occupied by others. Active for land uses which do the occupying and eat up other land uses, and static for things like reservoirs and the area outside, the mask outside the study area, which don't change at all. So we've done that. We can see all that information here in this file, table LU1, and that gives us all this information that we need to understand our model, and there it is. So the key thing to say here, we're now at step 3, which is define our actors' characteristics. So these are specific actors that are going to influence the land uses that we have specified here in this table. We've said we want our actors to influence them. So in this case, we're interested in actors' influence on solar power. Okay, so I should point out that this is not the only influence. This is not the only driver for land use change here. So this model, as you can see, we include the neighbourhood rule. This is the proximity, the neighbourhood dynamics, so the attraction and repulsion of one land use to another land use. The accessibility, so this is things like the proximity to power lines, road and rail infrastructure, and suitability, the underlying aptitude, the suitability of the ground, so whether it's sloping, or whether it's rocky, whether it's humid, etc., the soil quality, soil type, those kind of things, okay? And then of course the zoning, which is whether a particular land use change is actually permitted. Right. So on top of these things, we have the actors' characteristics, right? So these are the things that influence the allocation of a land use above and beyond attraction rules, accessibility, and suitability. So this represents, in a way, the behaviour of different actors in the land system, how they influence in different ways whether a land use grows or decays, or becomes important or not. And in this case, we're interested in the case of solar energy. So how does this work? Well, basically, we go into set actors characteristics. So we can either import a previous list of actors that we're going to find here in the actors folder. No, sorry, in the outputs folder. Okay, I've called them here old, actor list old, so they don't get overwritten. Let's just have a look at that. Let's just see what that is. Okay, so here this is a series of different actors: big energy, national electricity supply, national government, regional government, municipal government, landowners, energy cooperatives, environmental groups, small medium enterprises working in renewable energy installation, so local civil society associations, research and universities, and the media. Okay, so there's quite a lot of actors there. You probably don't need that many in an ordinary case. So what we're going to do is we're going to create our own. Okay, we're just going to go to interactive mode, and we're going to enter our actors. So what we're going to say here is we're going to say, well, our regional government, this is our province of Navarre, they have different plans, different strategic land plans for those different areas that we saw in our level 2 and our intermediate level map. Okay, so we're going to want to put these in here. So we're going to put the regional government, and not very important, put in here an underscore. Okay, don't leave a space, because otherwise the system will throw an error. So this has to be regional, I've spelled it wrong, regional underscore government. Okay, there we are, that's our first actor. And then underneath that, we're going to have local government. okay, which is very influential, but instead of being influential in these broad land planning zones that are represented by our intermediate map, the influence local government have obviously is on their specific municipalities, so they only influence their specific municipalities. Okay, and then we're going to have, we could call them renewable, let's call them renewable activists, right? So these are cooperatives or local groups that are in favour of renewable energies, and they want to push for that to be installed in their municipality. Okay, so we're just going to work with those three groups just to demonstrate how this works. So once we finish entering, we just go 999 to quit. Okay, so there we go. So now our key thing is to assign these values, right? Assign these characteristics, right? We're going to bring this dialog box up with the interactive mode. Okay, so through this simple dialog here, we're basically going to assign these different characteristics. So their power, their motivation, their cognition, their awareness or understanding and knowledge about a particular situation. Their resources could be money, could be land, could be machinery. Their affinities, whether they're in favour of the particular development that we're modelling, and what level of action they operate at. I should point out, very important to remember, all of this relates only to the behaviour of solar energy. We've turned this switch on, so we want actor influence to affect solar energy. So it doesn't matter if an actor is incredibly powerful, incredibly motivated in general. We're talking about whether they're powerful, whether they're motivated to affect the deployment of solar energy in this case. So the regional government, well, regional government has a lot of power here. They can set up subsidies, regional government subsidies. They can use the planning system to determine where renewable energy developments are permitted and where they're not. And we're going to model the case where they're highly motivated to do so. Okay, their cognition, this is how much they know about the process. And really, we would say they probably know quite a lot about the process. This won't necessarily be the case in every region. Navarre has been a pioneer and a leader in renewable energy developments, and they have traditionally had a lot of knowledge and a lot of involvement in this process. Their resources, again, this is not about their resources generally. They could be underfunded, but if, for example, they have an enormous amount of money to spend on renewable energies but are otherwise underfunded, their resources are still going to be high because they're spending they've got all that money they've got to spend on renewable energy. Okay, so in this case we can say high, you can say they're in favour. Okay, and we're going to say their principal level of action is intermediate, right? And now that's going to link to our intermediate map of our 6 planning zones. Okay, and then we're going to be asked where which of those planning zones are going to be key to where these characteristics are going to play out in terms of which planning zones. Okay, so we're then going to move forward with that. Okay, so we're going to go OK. Okay, right, now this is what I was talking about before. We have to select the area of action. So what we could do is we could say, well, okay, they are actually going to act in all of these areas, right? Or we could say we're actually really only interested in 1 or 2 particular areas which they've predefined as planning areas. So here it's helpful if you've actually, while you're going through this, you've actually got the map handy with those different numbered zones. Obviously those numbers there from 0 to 5, those 6 zones, it's actually not all that helpful if we don't know what they are. So I'm just going to open another version of R here and just bring those maps up, which helps first of all to show us where they are. Okay, so these maps, remember we've got them stored here in regions. Okay, so we can just open up another instance of R here in the same file. Remember we did that before. And then we can just let's set the directory there to the regions map. Okay, let's just look at what we've got in there. List files. Okay, so then we can just separately, we can plot out our, this one was our intermediate level maps. That's the POT regions. Okay. So, I need, of course, to bring up library Terra, and I need, of course, to import that. I'm going to call that regional map, and that's Rast new pot TIFF. Okay, so a little bit intelligent, and then we can just plot reg map. Okay, so there we are. So that's our reg map, and we're going to remind ourselves which of these. Let's close this down. Which of these are actually important? Which regions they correspond to? So 0. That looks like that's that darkest colour region in the northeast. We can check this, of course, with reg map. Let's click on the reg map. Okay, so that's 02. That's the 0 region there, as we thought. And that's there. That's the number 1. Okay, and that's number 3. Right. Okay, and that's actually designated number 5, just the same as this. So these are particular plans and policies that operate in these different regions. Okay, right. So now we know a little bit what we're looking at. So we're going to select the area of action. So what we're going to do is we're going to say that up here in the northeast of the country where the Pyrenees are coming through, this is an area of landscape beauty, and we're going to say that there's no particular interest here in promoting renewable energy. So in actual fact, we're going to select these areas down here. We're going to select just these 2 key areas, this band here right underneath the capital, Pamplona, and this spot here in the south. So just those 2 areas, the only ones that I haven't clicked on there. We're going to select those. All right. So we know that that is, those are number, let's just check that, number 3 and number 4. Number 3 and number 4. So number 4 and number 3, yeah, okay. Finish that. Okay, number 3 and number 4. So we're going to select area of action number 3 and number 4. Let's select number 3. Okay, let's select another locality. And number 4. And then we're going to go Q to exit. Okay. Something else is left. There we are. Right. Now we're going to move into local government. Right. So local government, we're going to leave all this as medium, but we're going to say that local government is in favour, and we're going to remind ourselves that this is local, and then we're going to have to go through the same process. Now, we could, of course, bring up this list. Okay, so we've got this enormous long list of municipalities. Now, we could obviously have a look at our list and decide which municipality is which. There's quite a lot of them, but that's nothing that's going to cause us too much trouble. Let's just check list files, do the same again. Again, this is good, you can work with a paper map while you're doing this to support you. But right now we don't have that, so let's get reg map. Let's call it the municipalities, regmun. We're going to import this raster. So this is the new municipalities maps. Okay, I've got 2. Imported that. Okay, and then we're just going to plot that as well. Okay. No, we're not going to do that. Okay. Okay, I need to bring back this window, turn that off. We want to plot regmun. Okay. Oh no, I've been stupid. New mon2. Okay, plot regmun. Right, there we are. So there are all our. This is a huge, frightening number of municipalities. But all we're going to do really is we're going to simulate. Remember what we said before is we said that our provincial, our regional government actors are interested in promoting renewable energy around these 2 areas in the south of the province. So we can then choose where we want to influence that process. And we're going to do it. We can just look, for example, let's just pick out a few municipalities here that we think might be interesting. Let's take this one for example. So that's number 38. We've got number 167. We've got 227, 191. Okay, let's put that one up. 217, 171. Right, so that's probably enough. So there we've got our list of municipalities, which we think we might be interested in. That. So let's just bring that back up again. So we're going to have number 38. Go back to the list. Number 167. Go back to the list. Number 227. Go back to the list. Number 191. Go back to the list. 217. Back to the list. And our last one there was number 171. Okay, so that's good. So we're going to get out of there. Exit now. Right. So we're now in renewable activists. So we're going to suppose, right, that we've got some renewable activists in one of these municipalities. Okay. We can go back to the plot and we can choose which of these we're interested in. Let's just have a look. How about this? Maybe we can choose this large one down here. I think this one, right? No, we obviously didn't. That wasn't the right one. That was actually 38. Okay, 38. Right. Okay, so our renewable activists, we're going to make them active in that municipality there, which is number 38. Okay, so they're activists and they're working only at the level of a municipality. So we're going to say that we're going to give them a lot of power. They're very motivated. Well, perhaps they're activists, medium powered. They're very motivated. They know a lot about the whole thing. They're kind of quite obsessive and they really want to promote this. Medium resources. They're really in favour and their level of action there is local. Okay. So remember, we're going to give them number 38. Right. Okay. Select our area of action from the list. Oops. Okay. And we're going to say number 38 is our key point, right? Then we're going to exit. Okay. So there we go. So that's what we've calculated. That's our actor influence map. And we can basically see how this is worked out. It's given us a table. It's told us what the results are, and it's calculated them. It's used this very simple calculation process. If you want to know how it's calculated, we can just go and have a look at that. That's in the APoLUS model full system documentation. Go down, this is right here. So this is how this works. So what we're saying is that so we compute, this is totally the actor D is this what we've just computed, this value here that we're seeing there. This is called block D, actor dynamics. That's that layer that we've just created through our actors. And this is created in this way. So it's C minus P. So this is the contextual interaction result, or the actor characteristics, multiplied by actor's power, right? So this is simply the sum of the motivation, the cognition, and their resources. And P, okay, is the power multiplied by their affinity, okay? And that's the way we've done that. Right? That's obviously something that we could change if we don't like the way that that's calculated. But basically what that's saying is that the actor is only going to act on the basis of their knowledge, their resources, and their motivation, but that motivation obviously is going to be very, very much stronger. It's going to be amplified by their power to influence that outcome. Okay, that's what that's saying. So you can see hopefully how those basic settings that we've done. So we've defined, we defined 2 areas which we were very interested in this region here, and the region just below it, and we've defined 5 different municipalities which are very much interested in promoting. Remember, again, this relates to our solar energy, to approach solar energy. And above all, this particular municipality here, number 38 on our list, is where there's a bunch of activists who are really pushing for this, right? And so that's just translated into a set of values, okay? Obviously nothing in the region, 1 in these less favoured regions where there's no particular interest in doing that. There's got a value of 16.2, which is these regions where the regional government's interested in promoting this in our model. Then we've got these areas which local government prefers, and then we've got this one municipality with the highest value where there's that group of activists. Okay, so that's how we set up our actor block. Okay.